Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while. There's been a lot of you asking if I'd be posting anymore. And yes, I am still here. I'm back, but please give me a little bit to get back into the swing of things. I think this video is gonna be fun. It's a little mixture of throwing a miniature together and playing with filmmaking techniques, but I'm definitely getting back into it all. Expect much bigger projects and much more interesting ideas coming very soon in the next couple months on this channel. I know it's been probably 6 or 7 months since you've seen me last, and life is just life sometimes. That's all I've got to say, really. Nothing crazy happened, but things just got busy. And as you know, this isn't my full-time job, so it was a little difficult, but I have a lot of ideas and a lot of things that I really want to do and explore on this channel. So I hope you enjoy this one and come along for the ride. So I'm definitely going to be skipping over quite a few things in this video just for the sake of time and because you've seen some of this stuff. So these are just things that I 3D printed and put a primer on, and now I'm painting. I'm painting it with a couple just different layers of things that I'm using a sponge to apply to create like old stone or, you know, concrete kind of texture. My main goal for this project is to kind of throw something together so that I can use it to test out filmmaking techniques and just get back into that swing of things. And so I've got all these laser cut pieces now. The previous video that I posted a few months ago was all about a laser cutter that I got. I cut all of this on that. That is the Creality Falcon 2. It is still a great laser. I've been using it quite a bit actually for a number of different projects, some projects that you'll see in the near future. So I cut all of these out using that laser, and I'm now using just some spackle or joint compound to add a quick texture to make it look more stone. I made things up a little bit on the way in this project, so these are just a couple things that I 3D printed. Again, just kind of big base things that I'm going to put those columns on, and I'm just putting things together and then figuring out along the way. This is kind of a fun thing for me. I don't love the design process, and so I'll design some things, I'll get an idea, I'll start heading in that direction, and I'll change my mind along the way. So I did these, but then I'm also going to add walls, obviously, and so the way I'm doing that maybe isn't the most efficient, but it worked, and it got me the result that I wanted. You can see how I'm just kind of layering a couple different colors of paint, and this is like more of a black wash almost. Just going over top of it, blending all of that with the sponges creates a lot of texture. And from especially a quick glance with dark lighting, it can give that stone vibe really easily. And now I'm just adding these pieces so that I can more securely add the walls after. So this will be the main center wall. I'm just using some wood glue to glue it in place, and then I'll put the side walls up. And the idea is to create the illusion of this really pretty big room, although it's a really small footprint of a miniature, and to give that kind of Great Hall vibe almost of the old Gothic kind of architecture. I'm not an architecture major or anything like that, and this is a dream world. This is in the dream world that I've been trying to create a little bit on this channel, and so some of this stuff isn't going to make sense at all architecturally. That's part of the plan. One, because I want it to feel a little off in the dream world, but two, I can make things up as I go, and I don't have to worry about how things would actually work correctly in real life in architecture. And that just frees me up to do things more freely and more quickly sometimes and just get something done. Things don't have to be perfect unless that's your goal. My goal is to have fun. So I have these steps that don't really make sense. I have columns that might not really make the most sense of where they are. But I think it's going to be an interesting look and an interesting kind of just off feeling to it, and I hope you will enjoy it as well. My go-to with these kind of ruin type places for the floor when I don't want to spend a ton of time is to use this grout kind of stuff and glue it all down so that it becomes this really dusty, really old, crumbled kind of look really fast without having to add tons of debris and all that kind of stuff. All of that is great, and it would help build the world even more, but it takes a lot of time. So now I'm going to move on to the filmmaking aspect of all of this, and I have a pretty cool product that I want to show you. This is the Zhiyun X60 RGB. It is a tiny little light that packs 60 watts of LED power in full RGB color. Pretty much the coolest light that is, you can hold in your hand this easily that I've ever seen. Thank you to Zhiyun for sending this out. I have been loving it so far because of how small and powerful it is. It even comes with a battery pack that just literally connects on the side. It even comes with a couple small adapters so you can put a reflector directly on it and just run with it. So immediately I can just turn it on with this battery pack on it and have 60 watts of power and be able to do all kinds of colors and fun things on a battery. And it can also be powered from USB power delivery. They give you a nice diffusion thing to put over this. And I also got this larger Bones mount adapter so that I can attach this thing and then attach any of my larger Bones mount adapters that I use with my bigger lights. Being 60 watts and this tiny lets you put it in so many different places that you could never put that powerful of a light before. And it also means it's super lightweight. So for some of my miniature filmmaking where I'm mounting lights on motors and whatnot, I can use much smaller motor systems and mounting points and kind of put this out over things much easier than these larger lights, but still pack 60 watts of power, which is about the minimum that I would want these days. So to have that 60 watts in this tiny body is pretty awesome. So when they reached out and asked me if I would be interested in this thing, I said absolutely. So today in my miniature, we're gonna use this thing by mounting it on a motor mount and have that swing it around, make some moving shadows and whatnot. The other cool thing that I've found about this tiny of a light, the chip is a little smaller, and the smaller your light source, the harder shadows and whatnot it creates. So I'm actually going to use this with no reflector or anything on it. It's going to be the bare LED chip, and that's going to create some really hard lines of shadows in the miniature, and I'm excited to see those shadows move, kind of like a time-lapse effect, as we pan this around with a motor. So thank you again to Zhiyun for sending this out. I'm sure I'm going to be using this for plenty of projects. All right, so I've got my motion control setup all ready to go here. I've got the camera on the X60 motion control slider that we've talked about, which is connected into the Dragon Frame software on my PC. That is controlling the camera rig and the X60, which is on a motor mount that I created a couple videos ago. Basically what we're going to be doing is creating a stop motion sequence so that the camera can take a long exposure, all the motors can move to its next frame, take one, and continue like that. I think I've shown that on the channel before, but I'm utilizing Dragon Frame to do this so that I can take the 60 watts of the X60 and really make it as powerful as I need it to be when I want to be at f/40 aperture and keep as much in focus as I possibly can. The X60 could definitely work fine in a live motion shot for sure, but I'd have to be at a much wider aperture because you just need so much light to stop things down in miniature photography. I've definitely talked about this in previous videos if you're a little unsure of what I'm talking about or want to learn more, and certainly leave a comment and ask if you have any questions. I'm happy to try to help with whatever you're thinking about. So I'm going to jump in and start making a shot within the software so I can show you a little bit of what this looks like. All right, so you can see on the monitors, I've got a shot kind of already, but I need to dial it in. So on Dragon Frame, I literally can just use my mouse and click the parameter buttons to move my camera in and out on the slider. I can pan it around pretty quickly when you're using a probe lens, it seems. I can tilt it, I can change my focus, and I can also change the position of the motor that's working the X60. So this is just a basic pan move, but as you can see, as I move the motor across, it creates all these moving shadows. It gives that look of like the passing of time, a time lapse or something. So basically on Dragon Frame, all you do is set these parameters and make keyframes so that over time, Dragon Frame can basically take the camera and the lights and all the things and move it from one point to the next smoothly and over time, either in real time or over frame by frame stop motion, which is what we're gonna do today. So instead of 1/50th of a second shutter speed, I'm gonna have it opened up much wider, maybe 1/4 of a second or something like that. So a lot more light can come in and hit the sensor, and I could have my aperture stopped all the way down to f40 on this probe lens and keep as much of the miniature in focus as possible. When you're doing miniature photography and you're at a wider aperture and very little is in focus, it looks like a miniature. But as you can keep more and more things in focus by stopping down the aperture, it kind of tricks the brain into thinking it's larger than it actually is, because in real life, you'd be able to see a lot more in a much larger area than if you were trying to look at something up close. Same with a camera. When you're in a tiny thing, it's much harder for the camera to see everything in focus, and so it looks miniature. We're trying to make that not happen today and make it look a little more life-size. So I'm gonna create a couple keyframes and run the move in stop motion and see how it looks. I hope you enjoyed getting back into this little dream world with me. I had a lot of fun, and so did Mr. Inspector, although he's been trying to be a little more elusive these days. Check out the rest of my videos if you're more interested in some of the cinematography, or if you just want to know how I do my miniatures. Lots of videos that go over a ton of it, but I'm going to be covering new ground coming soon in the next few months. I'm really excited to get into some of this, and I can't wait to see you guys there. See you then.